This is my first creepypasta. Ragdoll Mannequin, a creepypasta story by Luke Holland. My day started normal. I woke up and poured myself a cup of coffee. It was fall and the trees were covered in different colors. Red, orange, yellow, and even crimson. I had pictures framed on the wall of the photographs I took when I was in San Diego. I turned on the TV. I looked at the clock. It was 7:32 in the morning. The Today Show was on. The crew were doing the usual, showing things, doing makeovers. My apartment was a moderately sized, not small, but a little more bigger. It had a bedroom, a kitchen, a living room, and a storage room. The basic needs. The complex was placed beside a large, expansive forest. As the news ended, I got up and went into my room. I got out of my PJs and into a pair of dark blue jeans, a black and white plaid shirt, and a white athletic long-sleeved shirt which I wore under my unbuttoned plaid shirt. The forecast showed that all I needed to wear was a light jacket. I was planning on taking pictures of an old abandoned cabin which was beside a pond which I found on the internet, which also would look great with the sunset. Time passed, and I chose to go out at 4:45 p.m. I got into my Ford Focus, and I put in the coordinates I found on the internet earlier in the day. I started up my car, and I started to drive to the cabin. When I was on my way to the cabin, there were signs that caught my eye as I was driving. Signs started appearing more as I got closer to the location. Some signs read, "Go back while you can." The lettering was in red. Another sign had a painted image of a blank face, X's for eyes, and a stitched mouth. I called it off as a prank a kid would pull off. As I pulled into a dirt path, I noticed the construction vehicles were still there, as I also found on the internet article. As I got out slowly, I looked around me to take in my surroundings. The forests were ghastly, almost something demonic looking. Shady is what it was. As I approached the cockpit of a bulldozer, I noticed the cockpit door window was smashed, and the body's face was covered in maggots, and his arm was violently torn off. I looked around me and saw it laying on the hood, but it was mostly stripped to the bone. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a khaki-colored figure, that of one resembling a full-grown man, was facing me. Its eyes weren't in its place, only dark, empty sockets. Its mouth appeared sewn shut. Suddenly, its mouth slightly opened at the center and let out a screech only a demon could make. My body was paralyzed with fear. The thing came at me, then I remembered my camera was on in my coat pocket. The details of the living thing's face became clearer and clearer. Its arms outstretching in front of itself. Out of impulse, I took a picture with the flash on. The thing's face lit up from the flash as it screeched painfully. It flew into the side of the bulldozer, only to quickly swing its hand at me, scratching my cheek deeply. "You fucking piece of shit!" I shouted at it. It hissed menacingly at me as it sprinted into the abandoned cabin's basement hatch. I sat down on the ground, laying against the bulldozer's tracks. I went back to my car so I could get a bandage to put over the cut on my right cheek. I got my camera and looked at the picture of the thing that attacked me. The look of it was horrifying. Its skin looked like leather that had been gone over with rough sandpaper. Its eye sockets were empty, with the optical nerve hanging out loosely. Its mouth was lined with a row of carnivorous teeth, sharp as razors. I got a flashlight, flare, and tranquilizer gun loaded with one dart from the glove box. I approached the cabin at the front door and tried to turn the handle. It was unlocked, though it was being barricaded by something. I pushed harder. Then, out of frustration, I backed up a couple of feet and ran to the door and slammed the door open with my shoulder, just enough for me to slip through. I looked down to see a dead body ravaged by 3 claw marks and lacerations from sharp teeth. The left cheek was torn off, an eye was missing, and the face was covered in blood. Maggots were eating away the eyes. I puked violently as the maggots were gnawing away at the rotten flesh. The odor was horrible, like a mixture between sulfur, rotten milk, and mold. The most horrible part was that this person, what's left of him at least, or her, was disemboweled. His intestines were stringed out in a heap of an even more bloody mess. As I looked through the first floor, the shelves were occupied by organs of animals or humans, small, large, and every size in between. A human brain was sitting in the sink between, being swarmed by flies and chewed on by even, again, more maggots. Suddenly I heard some rustling from behind me. I snapped around to see a raccoon hissing at me as it started to creep towards me. "Stay back!" I shouted at it. It growled viciously at me. I slowly pulled out the tranquilizer gun and locked iron sights onto its chest. "I'll shoot!" I threatened it again. Just before it attacked, the thing that attacked me earlier, ran at it and with a swift motion sliced it down. The thing quickly snapped its attention at me. I started to quiver in fear. "You bastard!" I shouted. "You are a disgraced creation!" It hissed loudly as I aimed the iron sights at its head. I held my finger on the trigger, but just as I was about to shoot, it smacked the gun out of my hands, setting off the shot. I shouted in terror, "Stand the fuck back, you damned creature!" Its hiss turned into a hostile shrill. I ducked quickly as it swung its claw at me. I tried a low, sweeping kick, but it jumped and kicked me back, hurling me at the wall. "Guy, my fucking back!" I shouted in pain. It walked towards me. I tried getting up, but a sharp pain from my ankle made me collapse to the ground again. It stood over me. The moonlight shined dully against its pale skin. It smiled in an evil way. Quickly I shined my flashlight into its eye sockets, but it just grabbed it from my hand and crushed it into smithereens, flickering it to leave the darkness and engulf us both. It stepped on my twisted ankle as I shouted in pain, "Son of a bitch!" It quickly picked me up and knocked me unconscious. I woke up shortly after, surrounded by rotting bodies of raccoons, deer, and humans. The thing was chewing on the stomach of a bear cub. I stared at it. It looked back at me. It had an evil smirk, something that you would only see like a lunatic would have. Something really fucking creepy. I looked up and I saw my hands were being bondaged by rope. Obviously, this thing is pretty fucking smart, because otherwise it wouldn't have been able to tie me up. And then I looked around me. Of course, there were body parts. I saw an eyeball that was green. I saw a blue one that was being eaten out by maggots. The whole side of it still haunts my dreams today. Then the thing started walking towards me. my body, I was so scared. It smiled at me like it was gonna do something. I waited in anticipation to see what would happen. It raised its hand and swung it at my face, cutting over my already gash in my right cheek, along with 2 other scratches from the thing's hand. I looked at it. "You don't deserve to be alive. You don't deserve to be taking me hostage," I said. And then, to my surprise, it replied in a very, very dark voice. "You encroached on my surface. You disturbed my peace. You deserve every single fucking thing that you get from me." I looked at it. "You can talk?" I said. It replied, "Of course I can fucking talk. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get your attention." "I thought I heard a shrill from you." "That's what you hear when I first appear. People who never see me before or have seen me before usually hear a shrill." "I saw the bodies. In the construction vehicles." "Yes, it was lovely. Their shrills, the screaming, the whole terror of it all. Oh, it was great." I looked at it, confused and frightened. I just sat there quietly. "Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna finish my meal." The air around me was stingy. It was humid. And he turned on a light and walked into a room beyond my sight. I looked at it. I tried to look around the corner. It looked back around. "Oh, no, no, no. No peeking. It's a surprise." I waited in anticipation to see what he got from me. "Close your eyes." I hesitated. "Close your eyes!" It said it again. I closed my eyes. "Now open them." I opened my eyes to see... Oh, it's horrible. My baby sister. It was her head. My eyes widened as I looked at it. "You fucking monster! That's my baby sister." "Wait, how do you know my baby sister?" "I'm a stalker monster, like you said." "But, this doesn't make any sense," I said. "Why do you attack people?" "Don't you know? Have you read the article about this abandoned cabin?" It said. "Yeah, what about it?" "And the 42-year-old man that was diagnosed with schizophrenia?" "Yeah," I said. "You're seeing him right now." "You're lying," I said, in disbelief. "I was given a gift by the devil. It was great. Now I have eternal life. I have the attributes of a killer. And now no one will ever hear from anybody else ever again. Now, rest. You need your strength."